Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Van Den.
A few years ago, one of my friends, Matt, went over to Jerusalem, and it was a trip of a lifetime, and when he got home, I could not wait to hear about it. So I asked him if he wanted to grab coffee and tell me all about it, and he told me one story that stuck with him that he brought home and said, I am telling everyone this story. And so, since I have not been, I'm going to steal his story, but if you read about it or if you go yourself ever, you will no doubt hear the story of Rabbi Akiva. And the story goes that Rabbi Akiva was walking, and he was essentially kind of walking and praying. He was being contemplative and thinking through a lot of intentional things about his life and about faith and spirituality and whatever rabbis think about, right? And so he's walking around, and as he was so like ingrained in what he was thinking about, he essentially lost his way. And he came upon a fortress which was guarded by a Roman soldier. And that Roman soldier actually called down to Rabbi Akiva, and he says, "Who are you and what are you doing here?" And Rabbi Akiva kind of stumbled out of his deep thought and said, "Wait, what did you say to me?" And the Roman soldier again says, "Who are you and what are you doing here?" And as Rabbi Akiva gathers himself, he responds to the soldier and says, "How much are they paying you to ask me that question?" And I don't exactly remember what the Roman soldier said, but I do know Rabbi Akiva said, "Whatever they're paying you, I will pay you double. If you come down from there, you stand outside of my home and you ask me those two questions every day for the rest of my life." See, Rabbi Akiva seemed to understand that who are you and what are you doing here are the keys to life's meaning. It's a connection to your identity, and it's a connection to our purpose. And as we are exploring this desire to figure out what does meaning look like in this life, and we've been using Hannah Brencher's book, Come Matter Here, as kind of our roadmap for this conversation, she starts talking about, she continues to talk throughout the book about her dating life and how much that impacts her. And she said she kept waiting for God to put that perfect someone in front of her and that she would just know. But what she actually discovered was that what she needed to do was become that perfect, not the perfect someone, but needed to become more complete in who she was first. So she discovered that she needed to ask herself those questions of who are you and what are you doing here, long before she ever figured out or was ready to be complimentary in somebody else's life. And so as I read this book and as I was thinking about this story that my friend Matt told me, I also started digging in the Bible of what does the Bible actually say about purpose, and what does it talk about, how do we discover that purpose? And I stumbled upon a proverb, which makes sense for when we're talking about meaning and purpose, that we would find some insights in Proverbs. And I think that it directs the conversation to a place that we should all entertain. It's in Proverbs 20, verse 5. It says, "The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters." Like, this is tough stuff. It's difficult to understand. It's difficult to discover. They're deep. However, if someone has insight, if they spend time digging, if you spend time wandering, as Rabbi Akiva did, you draw them out. So instead of, like Hannah thought, that God would just drop the answers in her lap, whether it be a person or her value in her life or her meaning, it is essentially saying, no, this is deep work, deep meaning, deep waters that we are intended to explore and engage with God around. And so I thought today, kind of blending my worlds of being a pastor and a coach, I thought that I would give us some tools for gathering this insight, or at least navigating this insight. And they come from some work that I've studied and I've done from life planning and life coaching. And when we think about who are you, the identity piece, the first question that we need to answer, and I would ask you to explore today or this week, is what are your top 5 strengths? Like, what do you bring to the table? And at a really like core level, don't look at performance or appearance. Those are things that are lies or kind of steer us astray. What are your strengths? Like, what is your superpower? And if you can come up with 5 things that you know you do well that are unique to you, that helps you answer the question of who are you? and get comfortable with who that person is. You don't need to be anybody else. You need to be you. And then take that into your purpose. What are you doing here? And if you could come up with 5 different roles that you play in your life. For me, 1 is a husband, 2 is a business owner, 3 is a son, I would say like a family member, bigger than just my spousal relationship. So those are 3 quick examples from me. But if you can answer those questions, what are my 5 biggest strengths? And what are my 5 key roles? In order to find or experience deeper meaning and really explore those deep waters and gather that insight that draws those out, spend time this week in your faith, writing down those essentially 10 things, 2 different sets of 5 things, and then put those in front of God and do the work. Like, go for a wandering journey with God and just ask Him. If you're on track with your strengths and if you're confused, ask Him to put some of those in front of you. But then also ask Him how you might marry your strengths with your key roles so that you could put those together in this deep, meaningful, and purposeful life.
Thanks for watching Faith in 5. If you like what you see, please like and share. If you're interested in making a donation to our ministry, please click the link below.